video is called Prevention, and are black people as racist as white people? I'm making this video, 4 stitches, hurt foot, recovering back, poison oak on my neck, being gang stalked, covertly drugged, persecuted, cyber attacked, all for my political beliefs. Because I want to change the system. Now, affirmative action and welfare do not change things. You have to get to the root cause. They're trying to change things way down the line, If you have cancer, do you give somebody a Band-Aid? You give them a Tylenol? And that's all you do? You have a brain tumor. Do you sing the person lullabies? Or do you have surgery to remove the brain tumor if it's operable? We got to get to the root cause of these problems. And so let's look at the education system, shall we? Even if you give more money to the education system, if you do not apply it properly, it will be in vain. Bear with me now. The education system produces whitewashed people. History is whitewashed. Mental health, and so on. So black people are taught by the media it's not cool to be educated and so on. And that, ironically, a lot of the educated black people, I don't know how the percents break down, but are educated in prison and they'll never get a job as a result because of their felonies, and some of them will never get out. We need to create schools that teach and impress upon black people that to help your people out here in the Holocaust of 6 million blacks dying of communicable diseases annually in Africa, here and abroad, to help your people out, you need to be educated, have degrees to bring validity and credence to your argument. We need to impress upon black people these things, and the only way to do it is to address the groups of people who are keeping us from doing that. We shouldn't take this opportunity to bring in New World Order philosophies, but to empower minorities, especially black people. So, this has to be done carefully, because in many black communities, there are other people living there, and they need to be empowered as well. And I don't believe in segregating the education system, but I do believe that there needs to be a strong emphasis on empowering black people in black schools. Teach them the history you never want to teach them. Teach them of great African civilizations. Teach them what it truly means to be a black person stolen by white supremacy. Sold by people who only sold you after the white man's firearms were introduced to them. So even when blacks sold other blacks, there was a strong component of white supremacy at play that caused them to do that. Had they been left alone and the guns never introduced, they would not have sold them. And when you couple that with, and they traded them for firearms in many cases, and when you couple that with the demand, okay, what created the demand? Everyone who knows anything about economics knows supply and demand. What created the demand? It was the European demand. They came there with muskets. So and it's a form of eugenics when you think about it, to, here, go kill other black people, we'll take your prisoners, and we'll keep this cycle going. We'll keep you in chaos, and it's the same thing in the hood. They'll bring them guns and drugs to keep killing them, and we'll take those who are unlucky to prison, into captivity. So what we need to do is address the root cause, empower black people, and address the media. I propose a ban on commercial hip-hop. I know, this is very unpopular. But let's think about this. It's already censored. I mean a ban in the media, the ban on the radio. Does not make it easy for people to be inspired to bring down their own people. Inspired to be self-destructive and to destroy their own communities. Let's inspire them to be great black warriors. A thug is less than a black warrior. A gang member is less than a transcendent hero. A criminal is less than a revolutionary. So we need to invest in our youth, and we need to apply money where it is needed most. Black people disproportionately suffer no matter how you slice it. Even if you believe psychiatry, you have to then acknowledge that blacks are diagnosed at a higher rate. Why? Environmental factors. Look at the economy. 13%, they own less than 0.5%. Therefore, they are suffering disproportionately. Especially in a materialistic society, especially in a capitalistic society. So what needs to be done? And then these police officers, time and time again I come across police officers who talk about taking responsibility. The same cowards who refuse to take responsibility for white supremacy talking about blacks need to take responsibility. The same cowards who have a code of silence talking about blacks need to take responsibility. The same cowards who smuggle drugs and set people up to die and to be gang raped in fucking prison talking about blacks need to take responsibility. How sick is that? So there's this police force that is pushing white supremacy and pushing the oppression of black people, sending them messages that do not make sense. You know? Would you cripple a man and then say, you know what? Just because you can't walk, doesn't mean that fucking you're a victim. Get up and run. Stop blaming the white man who crippled you and get up and run. I'll say, well, that's not a valid comparison. It absolutely is. Stop crippling the black man so he can get up and run. Teach him how to run properly. Don't turn him off from the idea of learning how to run. I've been to 6 different high schools and I see white supremacy in all of them. We have, even in Christian schools, and I'm not here to bash my old Christian school, but even in Christian schools, there are strong elements of white supremacy. Public school, etc., etc. Black people are taught, be a thug, skip class, chase pussy, chase money. White people are taught, chase pussy, chase drugs, chase fast money. White people are taught, you chase the money, women chase you. People say, well, that's their parents' fault. I've had countless. A lot of people say, well, that's their family. Their family needs to do that. Their family needs to do that. After you've broken down their family, then you're going to turn around and say, your family needs to do it. After you disenfranchise the black man so he cannot afford a family, but has the same intimacy needs as everyone else, and then has children out of wedlock, has illegitimate children, cannot support his children, argues with his wife over the fucking financial issues, and the family's broken. And then you say, well, that's their family's fault. That's their fault. No, you've crippled them and their families, and you want them both to get up and run together. Every one of my ideas is practical. It makes sense. It's possible. But I don't expect any of them to be done, because we live in a society of white supremacy. Now, I'll end this with one question and then one clip from Dixon White. That's it. Am I racist against white people? Am I as racist against white people as they are against black people? Are black people as racist as white people are, generally speaking, on average?
Country, wonder why? We're fucking scared. Even the fucking police officer, the coward police officers that kill unarmed black people are scared. We're scared of that retribution, scared of that black vengeance. And then we pretend and project that black people are as racist as white people. Who the fuck ever taught a black person black supremacy? The first thing a fucking black person learns is why it's wrong to be a supremacist. They deal with that shit their whole fucking life. Why the fuck would they want them to act supreme? I ain't never heard a black person go around acting superior because of the color of their skin. If anything, they do the opposite. It's white people that are taught. I ain't saying black people can't hate. I ain't saying black people can't be angry. But hell, if they do hate, it's a hate that hate produced. It's an anger that anger produced from white supremacy. Of course.
The hate produced. The anger that anger produced from white supremacy. Now, will you police officers please stop thinking like a little kid who's too selfish to say the right thing, to do the right thing. Either you are playing stupid or you are stupid. Either way, should we trust people like you with upholding the law if you're willing to play stupid or you are that stupid?
So it came to my attention, just by thinking about it, I brought it to my own attention, that what is going on in society is not just artificial selection, but it's good to be specific, is cultural selection as well. He who does the best in the culture, succeeds and plants their seed and so on. So the culture is selecting who's going to live, not just who's going to live on and plant their seeds, because eugenics is part of the culture, but who is going to, keep their seeds higher up and what ethnic groups are better off. This is all part of cultural selection. So what is happening with government harassment, cause stalking, organized stalking, gang stalking, whatever, is cultural and philosophical. Therefore, I personally do not believe that there are very many random samples, if any at all. The only practical application of gang stalking random samples from the population of people who do not see things in a way that isn't accepted by the people who are doing this, is to compare. But really, what does that really mean? I could see them doing it one or two just to see, a small group of people just to see what happens and just to see what they say about it, what they think about it, and so on. But it really has no practical application beyond that. They want results. They want results that reflect what happens when they do this specifically to people who are partaking in deviant behavior. The social deviants. This is about social development, social control, social planning, social Darwinism, scientific racism. Okay? And it's about persecuting political dissidents. And since the people who tend to hate this the most are going to be black, logically, there's at least a small racial component to this. Because since black people, have a long list of grievances, that's longer than any other people, For example, there's a Holocaust every single year. 5.9 million people died of communicable or infectious diseases in sub-Saharan Africa in 2012 alone. Okay? The Jews, start crying about their Holocaust. Sometimes you hear Germans crying about the German women who were raped and people were killed. Africans pretty much go through what both the Germans in World War II and the Jews went through every single year. Okay? Whose pain is the greatest? Who has the longest list of grievances? It is black people. And then of black people, political dissidents, because we have all the problems of other black people, but plus the New World Order has made it personal. And then you look at someone like me, an African American whose father is from Nigeria, from Africa, probably logically has the longest, it's hard to find somebody with a longer list of grievances than I have with the New World Order. I don't even know where to start. We can start with how, they took my people as slaves, my extended family as slaves, You know, you can say, well, yeah, some Africans sold me, yeah, but not Africans in my family. My family was, from a humble background in Nigeria. They weren't rich from selling slaves or anything like that. They fought with the slave traders. My ancestors fought with the slave traders, and they just didn't weren't captured. For the most part. But some of my relatives were captured and sent as slaves. So there is also some of my extended family, some of my forefathers were victims of the slave trade. Most people don't see it like that. They think that all the people who are related to Africans by default are related to the slave traders. They never do the math and see that, yes, there's some great uncles or whatever, great, uncles or whatever, however it goes, breaks down, that were, and then where did it take place? You have Haiti and Jamaica, and, it's not just African Americans. There's South American blacks. There are island blacks. There are, there's a lot. I can't think of anybody with a longer list of grievances, longer list of reasons to hate the New World Order than I have. And sub-Saharan Africa is where Nigeria is. I mean, these lowly dogs. Look at the Second Congolese War. Look at the apartheid conflicts between, the border wars, etc. All the bloodshed in South Africa, all the bloodshed in the Congo, all the bloodshed in Nigeria. Okay, I have the longest list of grievances out of anybody, and I'm a victim of gang stalking. And of the victims of gang stalking, you show me one who is as talented at something as I am. All cockiness aside, I'm the top martial artist. I'm being denied my rightful place in history by the people who enslaved and caused a Holocaust every fucking year in sub-Saharan Africa. And these lowly dogs, we all know that they worked with Saudi Arabia. They set up the fucking, the connection between the terrorists, one way or another. The New World Order is responsible for terrorists, no matter how you look at it, through action or inaction, and as a result, because of what happened with Gaddafi, a lot of those guns made their way to Nigeria, and fucking it caused the rise of Boko Haram, who later pledged allegiance to ISIS and attacked Christians, which is fucking, very traumatic to all Nigerians, even ones who weren't alive during the Civil War, such as myself. I mean, the list of grievances goes on and on and on. And these lowly scumbags wonder, why I'm upset about things. Your cultural selection, your artificial selection, your scientific racism, you are cultural imperialists. You know it. I know it. You know that I know that you know that I know. Then you use psychiatry. I mean, I was like 15, 16 years old in fucking reform school in San Bernardino where that shooting happened. In the psych ward how many fucking times? For superficial bitch shit. I was in jail for some superficial bitch shit. My girlfriend was on at the time, was on record saying, I had it on recording, saying that that I get carried away sometimes and I never hurt you. She knew I would never hurt her. She felt vengeful. I had her on recording because I knew that I get carried away and talk about this, that, and the other thing. And she knew I was in the habit of doing that. And she knew, and she wasn't afraid in the fucking slightest. You people have been fucking with me for superficial bitch shit all my fucking life. Even people who are in prison for life for something they didn't do not have as longer a list of grievances than I have with you lowly dogs. I've been in the middle of fucking nowhere, completely disenfranchised, even though I come from a fucking upper middle class fucking family because of your psychiatry bullshit. The only reason I haven't been framed for a murder I didn't do is because I live in the middle of fucking nowhere where you lowly dogs have oppressed, repressed, and kept me. May as well be in solitary confinement every day of my fucking life. I probably would have went batshit crazy because I can't trust my own family because of you lowly dogs. It's not mention all the other horrible things that happened, the sexual assault and my son and so on and so forth. You people are the lowest form of filth. And if you think I would ever take your side, you are fucking insane. I would rather slit every one of your throats and drink your fucking blood and then swim in piss for the rest of my life than help you bring in the New World Order for a nano fucking second. Are we clear, you bitches?